So coming from the same why, I'm gonna ask you a question which the medical representative inside the doctor's chamber is asked thousands of times, but there is no strict or straightforward answer to this question. So my question to you, sir, is what to say when a doctor asks you, why should I prescribe your brand?
If I have to really tell you the fact, it is not really clear to anyone why a doctor prescribes your brand, and there are always multiple factors which are involved. And the most important factor is the medical representative and his relations with the doctor. I'll give you my own example. When I started my career in 1974, I came from Mumbai to Ahmedabad and I had no knowledge of Gujarati. And there was one particular doctor, Dr. H.N. Trivedi, a renowned ENT surgeon. For 3 years, I visited him continuously and he did not prescribe my product, though I gave him all the value propositions, everything which the marketing manager told me, did everything, but not a single for 3 years. And I was about to remove him from the list. So finally, one day I took up courage and asked him, Dr. Trivedi, sir, I spoke to him in Gujarati for the first time. Sir, તમને 3 વર્ષથી મળું છું, પણ તમે મારું product લખતા નથી. I'm meeting you for the last 3 years, but you're not writing a single product of mine. So tell me, how can I make you prescribe my product? Then he stared at me for about a few seconds and he said, for 3 years I did not write your products because you were not speaking to me in Gujarati. You were always coming and speaking to me in English. I hated that. And then I told him, but sir, when I was meeting you, I had just come to Ahmedabad. I did not know fluent Gujarati. Today I can started speaking in Gujarati. And that day onwards, his prescriptions for my brand, not one, is prescribed 5 to 6 brands of my company. And I was amazed. Now, was that a real valid reason for not prescribing or prescribing a product? Really don't know the doctor's mind. Why? I'll never forget this incident. Just because I did not speak to him in the local language, he did not prescribe my product.
Definitely, sir, definitely. I guess even our listeners would also be able to forget this, the experience that you have shared with us. So moving on now, we have just discussed about many brands that were very successful in their domains. So now I'm going to take you to a different domain now, a different darker side of the industry. Sometimes it happens that the drugs that are launched, they are actually thought to be, blockbusters, that these are going to change the fate of a company. But there were some drugs which were initially thought to be blockbusters, but later actually became a liability for the company. Okay, so the companies, they organize these mega events, mega launch events, and give parties in the resorts and all. And as students, we know that whenever something like this happens, then the complete stock of the medicine has to be brought back into the company. So we have all know about the concept, but we don't know how is it executed, or in the past how it was executed. Like recently, Lupin had to get back its stock from the US markets. So what is it? How does it happen, sir? What's your take on that? How did it happen at your times?
Yeah, that was a very, very, very nice question you have asked. And that is one of the biggest blunders I did as the marketing head of sales and marketing head of Torrent. That was a brand which we had launched in 2001, exactly 19 years back, and was launched with great fanfare. We launched it in a resort in Goa, and we had got all the fees up and everything in marketing which was possible we did for that brand. But me and my team, and I take the entire blame on myself since I was the marketing head, we forgot to read the latest news on Serivastatin. We were, so happy to see the brand Lipobe from Bayer becoming a 16 billion brand, and we said this is a brand for us which is superior to Atorvastatin and it can replace Storvas. Storvas was then a brand of Atorvastatin by Ranbaxy. and it was the number one in the statins, and it was our desire that we should replace Seriva should replace that brand. Everything went well right from the day of launch in February to around 9th of February. Everything went fine because we in the marketing team, we were wearing blinkers. We were wearing blinkers and we refused to see the news of rhabdomyolysis coming out with the consumption of Seravastatin.
Yeah. Just a second, sir. Just to clear it for the listeners, the rhabdomyolysis is actually muscle tissue breakdown, which results in the release of myoglobin into the blood. It actually is a very common side effect from all the statins.
Yeah, it's a side effect, but WHO, I was about to come to that. WHO on 9th of August 2001, they issued a warning. Like all the statins, Seravastatin also causes rhabdomyolysis, but the incidence of rhabdomyolysis is very, very, very high. And that was a big blow to us. We had spent about 2 crores on developing the drug to reverse engineering, and maybe another crore and a half was spent on the marketing expenses. We have spent about 4 to 5 crores on the brand, and then because we wore blank blinkers and did not see the reports, which were the negative reports which were coming on for Seravastatin, we kept on investing money on Serava. And when the D-Day came, that was a big slap on our face. And then we decided that I should not only stop Serava, but withdraw it from the market. So this was the kind of dedication which you could see in those days with the people in Torrent. And we resolved that we will withdraw the drug within 6 days. And on the 6th day, there was not a single strip lying on the retailer's shelves. But that was a very, very big exercise. And remember, when this drug was launched, when this incident occurred, we did not have mobile phones. Well, mobile phones were there, but not those ordinary phones, not the smartphones by which we could reach people with so much of speed as we are able to reach these days.
Yes, correct, sir. And actually, that's a really great symbolization or representation of a leader in a company.
When you talked about leadership, I must salute the managing director, Mr. Sudhir Mehta of Torrent. I was really shit scared, but he patted on my back, Vivek, don't worry. And he said, it is our joint responsibility. I am equally as responsible as you are. That's a true leader. That's a true leadership quality which he displayed. So I would say one of the best things about a pharmaceutical leader, he should be first treat the medical representatives extremely well, and second, develop the first line leader. If the first line leadership is very strong, the company can succeed. If the first line leadership is weak, the company will be in lot of problems.
Considering Indian pharmaceutical industry as a whole, not like a single company and all, so we are not very beloved industry amongst all the industries. People think that these pharmaceutical companies, they sell like cheap drugs at horrible prices. So what can we do? What as an industry, as a whole industry, what can we do to improve this image, to put on a value proposition which actually makes our image better?
In fact, what you said, Aditya, was very, very correct. About 3 years back, I had read a Gallup poll in USA, and they said amongst the top 5 most hated industries in USA, the number 1 was the tobacco industry, and the second number went to the pharmaceutical industry. This is the kind of reputation which we have in the eyes of the general public. And if we have to change that image, and only route which I see today is becoming more and more companies should adopt patient centricity. And once we adopt patient centricity, the people will also realize that the pharmaceutical companies are doing something for us. They are not just minting money. But there are some companies which are notoriously they acquire brands from smaller companies and then from other companies and increase the prices. And one of the biggest culprit in USA, Gilead. Gilead is notorious for that. It is one of the most hated pharma company in the USA. So we have to work a lot, and it's not an easy solution. See, this is a chronic disease which has come up, over years. Therefore, transforming this image, it cannot be done overnight, and therefore we started patient-centric marketing. And when we start with patient-centric marketing, the patients will get a feeling that pharma company हमारे लिए कुछ भी कर रही है. So that will make the public look at the pharma company in a different light. And second, sometimes the way we behave, the way the medical representatives and the field managers they behave in clinics and in hospitals, they actually compete with the patients in getting an entry into the doctor's chamber. And why this is happening? Because of lack of training. So training departments in the pharma industry should take it upon themselves. We need to have only trained and highly trained people in the field.
Right, sir. Actually, that's very correct. People often ask that this was like a brilliant strategy, but why did it fail? A medical representative who is actually present on the ground needs to be his involvement in the strategy making needs to be enhanced, because he is the one who is on the field, that's the face of the company. He can give you insights that nobody else can.
Absolutely. This is called as the 3E process, or which is also called as the FAIR process. What is that FAIR process or the 3E process? The first E is engagement. People who craft the strategies, they should be able to engage the people in the strategy who are the actual implementers. Have you heard about Jack Welch?
Yes,
And he used to involve close to 5,000 people. Now, why go that far? Even in India, HCL Technologies, Hindustan Computer Technologies, when Vinit Nair, he was the CEO. This is a company which is owned by Shiv Nadar. He writes in his book, People First, Customers Second. And I read that book, and he writes in that book that whenever a new plan or new strategy was involved, he used to involve all the people who mattered, 8,000 people at a time. So this is called engagement of people, where the people come and they are free to tell anything about the strategy, both negative and the positive. And then finally, it is for the management to finalize a strategy. The second E, what is the second E? Explanation. When we talk about explanation, some ideas are accepted, some ideas are not accepted. We need to tell the people whose ideas have not been accepted why it has not been accepted. We have to explain to them, and when we explain that to them, they'll get a feeling, okay, what? मैंने जो कहा था वो हुआ नहीं, लेकिन कम से कम कंपनी ने मेरी बात तो सुनी. At least the company has heard what I want to say. So this is what you call as explanation. And then what happens? There's a change in the behavior, there's a change in the attitude, and the people will say, "Arey, this is my strategy. This is my strategy." And then when it comes to the third E, that is execution, the execution will be top class. After all, it's my strategy. So this is called as the FAIR process, or this is also called as the 3E process. And if you are able to do that, wonders. If you talk about a pharma company, the biggest pharma company in India in terms of numbers is a Mankind with 10,000 people. And if Mankind has to come out, say, with a new strategic plan, they'll have to involve just 800 people in the field, 800 to 900 people, the field managers, in the ratio of 1:10. So call the 900 people together, discuss with them, and then finalize the strategy. The people who are accountable for the strategy, they'll feel, नहीं, मेरे को पूछा था, ये मेरी strategy है, and they will go all out for ensuring that the strategy is executed at the highest order, at the highest level.
Correct. Yes, sir. So it was actually very great to have you on the show with us. It was a really informative session. I really believe that our listeners must have learned a lot. Even if around 2% people try to change, then the pharmaceutical industry is definitely leading good path, and we can all see a better pharmaceutical future for us all now. Thank you so much, sir, for being on the show.
Thank you so much, Aditya. Thank you so much. I'm really very happy that I could answer many of your questions to your satisfaction.